Alright, so welcome back to part 31 of this series. This video is also about 40 minutes. That's not that big a problem as it's divided in 4 parts with timestamps. So we're gonna begin by adding head bob. So we have the head bob script already prepared. In the head bob script we'll have a serialized field, private. It's going to be a float. That is supposed to be the walking bob speed or amount. Just to find the speed one and then duplicate it, paste it below twice. Walking and sprinting bob speed, you've got crouching. Then we're gonna make some spaces and duplicate this one, paste it right below this one, paste it right below, select this one and paste it right below. Now we're going to change them to bob amounts. We already have the speed, so it's an amount, and this one's going to be the amount as well, and this one finally. So we have all the bobbing float fields for the settings. So header, this is going to be our settings. Alright, and we can save. Now, how this is going to work is it's going to modify the center spine position. I'm not going to modify the character's center spine position. And that's why we're going to have the bob effect. So we're going to have a private float timer, and it's going to need a reference to the play controller and a reference to the late update position follower, which is attached to the center spine. I think, yeah, I think so. We'll find that out later, but just before we do that, we need to have a reference to it. Secondly, we can save that. Save it. Yeah, no, before we save it, let me just go to the update. We can check if play controller. So basically, we have different bob amounts and bob speeds, and we need to do them depending if he's walking or running or crouching. So if it's walking, and because it's going to be a method, I will already write it down. Now, play controller dot near ground. So we also need to be near ground, or you can simply say is grounded for now. And play control dot. Well, right now we don't have those that return the variables, so we need to go into the player controller and do that. But let's just see input. So input has already been made public previously. If you haven't done that, maybe you can do it. Just make it public in the input actions that we created. I'm gonna read value type vector 2, and all we need to check in this one is it's not equal to 0. So we don't want to be bobbing if our player has given no movement input. Only bob if there is movement input. Alright, so this is looking a bit messy, but anyway, let's just get back here. And in the expose methods region, we can define a public, public field, and this is going to be a bool. We'll have the is walking as a bool, and it's going to return the is walking bool. So that's done for the is walking. Now we can duplicate this thrice while I do this. We also will need to return the near ground, meaning we're going to define it as bool is grounded. But we'll return near ground instead of the character is grounded because that's too precise, and we don't want it to actually return false even if we are going down a slope, because usually that's what happens, and then that just doesn't go well. So near ground is better. Save the script and come back over here, and our methods are still getting an error because we are not matching them to anything else, so we need to match them to true or false. Well, anyway, the error isn't that, it's something else. Now we can check if they're true. So if they're true. Secondly, you can see it's a bit messy, and I won't make multiple ifs directly in it. So I'm going to make one if, and then nest the rest of the ifs inside that one. That one if is going to have everything common in between them. So I'm pretty sure that we need to have another if in there. It will have the walking one. Inside this if, you're gonna have everything we need. Inside the if that we have for walking, we'll have a different timer, and everything else is different in here. Then we can create an else, and now we can create an else if here dot is sprinting, pull it through, and again we're gonna create another one. This is for the crouching check. So we have the 3 ifs that we needed, and they're gonna handle everything we need now. Alright, so let's begin using those timers and the reference to the default transform position light update. To begin using it, we need to have the setup using a math of sin. We're gonna use the sine method. Now I'm not sure about what it actually does, but thanks to someone on YouTube, I was able to make use of it. And I think the channel's name would be Comp3. Thanks to him for that video. But anyway, let's get on. And we are modifying the full transform post light update. I'm gonna pass in some vector 3. So let's begin by putting in full transform.offset.x. Then we'll pass in a comma. And this is going to be the actual bulb things, the actual thing. Now we need to have a default light position. We will plus that with the math.sign, plus meaning the math.sign of a float, it's going to return it. We want the timer sign, and just need to hit it multiplied by walk bob speed, rather bob amount. Another comma, and the final value, which is going to be follow transform position light updates dot offset dot z. That should do it. Now let's just add some extra lines so it looks neat, and then let's go up here and define a simple float for the dual bypass. And that's all. Then let's come back here, paste them as usual. Alright, so now because this is sprinting, we need to change this to sprinting. And it's sprinting. Down here we have the bob amount as well, so it's also going to be sprinting. Alright, now let's come to the crouching, change it to crouching. Alright, and then we come back here, crouching again. Now in the else method we need to pass in some stuff. So what we need to do is set the offset to, it needs to be set to a new vector 3 again, but this time it's going to be full transform position light update dot set dot x, and right here the y one we do method loop. We're going to loop from the current offset update dot offset dot y to, well, we need to loop to, sorry about that, 0, and also need to pass in the full transform. Sorry, we need to first pass in the speed. It's gonna be return speed. Now we can make a simple variable up here, return speed, and then copy this float, paste, fix this up and down thing, and set it to something like 20. Alright, now we can come back here, getting an error. My error, we have not added a semicolon, but before we do that, let's pass in the float z, which is posted update of offset.z, and simply finally end this line. It's pretty long and can get confusing, but just don't make a mistake and nothing will happen wrong. So we're done with the head bob script, I think, and let's give it a try then. Back into the editor. Yes, back into the editor. Have the player center spine position, and right up here, I'm gonna assign the head bob script. Alright, now that it requires the components of full transform late update for now, so we're just going to add that so that if anyone else is using it, it should automatically add that so that we prevent those errors that can occur. Alright, so now we can save and hit the play button. We get an error directly. Wow, how was that for? Well, I think we did not get the reference. And why didn't we? Because we never actually attempted to get it. So that's a mistake. We need to make small spaces here, but I just remembered that the play controller can't be found, so we need to just keep that like that. And for the font transform, we decided to get component type of font transform. Did update. Alright, there you are, save. Back here. And now that we have the setup, everything's working. I just assigned the player controller because there was just some issues in that middle part, which that's why it snapped anyway. So assign the player controller and everything should work. Now we have the return speed 20, and I just tried out some settings as well. That doesn't look good, does it? It looks quite jittery. Okay, so let's try at 1 at the bobber speed. That's quite slow as well. Let's try at 2. Oh well, that's quite funny. So the bobber amount has to be really less, 0.025. We can need to get this to perfection. Alright, that's too much still. Yes, too much. Let's try out 1. Okay, so that looks better. Looks really better. This looks not good because we're sprinting. So let's get the sprinting one set up. How can we do that? Well, it's quite simple. Let's first make this one okay. It looks real. Alright, that looks good. Looks pretty good, I think so. Now the try chain doesn't have it. Anyway, let's begin adding it. It looks like the bulb is looking quite good. Yeah, alright. So then I think... Okay, so we can begin adding it on the others. Let's do that. And this time for the sprinting, we're going to set it to 15 speed and just add 6 instead of 5. That doesn't make it look like it's sprinting. Let's try out 20. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think it should be 7, 8. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now, what do we need to do? Well, we still have the crouching left, so we can paste it in. Speed also, and I think we try out 6. For the bulb amount, we can try out 3. Crouch, and let's move. Well, that's actually 2 less, or rather too slow, I don't know. Let's see how we can modify it. Oh, look at that. What's that? Multiple audios are getting fired out. Anyway, we'll fix that in a bit. So we can try out 3 again. The speed can be 9. Okay. It still looks way less. Let me just fix this small issue you're getting. Input vector Y is not getting 0 for some reason. Well, it's okay. I think so. The animator. Back to normal. Now we'll fix this small issue. The lurper, it doesn't matter. After we fix it, we'll see. See it later. But right now, let's just set to 0.1, as that's one I was actually liking previously. Yeah, I think 0.01, that's too less. Let's too jerky too. Set it to 0.05. When you fix it, we put back to 0.1. Anyway, so the crouching hasn't been yet done. It looks like it needs some more bobbing. So let's give it a try with 4 maybe. Let me just select it. Speed needs to be 10, I think. And crouching, well, speed 0.9. Since 0.04. Okay, now that looks good. I think so. Even if it doesn't, we can change it and tamper about with it until we are happy with it. Yep, so we can copy the head bob script right now, get out of play mode and paste in the component values, save, Command S or Control S, and done with head bob. Now the second part. Okay, so the shadows look pretty choppy and not so great, so let's just fix that. It's quite easy to fix that. We just need to change the max distance to 50. Yes, and that should do it. It looks pretty better now. Way better than previously. Well, and low, medium, high. Let's try it high. Medium. Post-processing. Low, medium, high. I think high. Let's just show what happens. Anyway, the URP is made to work with almost all platforms. I think it works with all. So it's not a very big problem when you are optimizing your projects to work with phones and other devices which may not have high CPU levels and not very high speeds, and they might actually not get good graphics because of other render pipelines. Like the built-in one, you may need to work a lot to get it work with the mobiles and other devices. So URP is usually the best one to go with. URP is only for I think it's for PCs and consoles. Right now we might need to use it for phones. I just went with the URP, that's why. Now you can put the cascade count all the way up to 4. But this is actually the settings of some other one which we are not selected yet. Anyway, let's come back in here. Save the project again. It's time to get Cinemachine in action. And the reason why we're doing that is in the third part of this video we're going to actually be implementing Cinemachine. Already implementing Cinemachine, but we actually need to use it to have some recoil effects, and of course when we will implement the grenade effects and grenade basically, we will need to have explosion effects, meaning the camera needs to shake. Cinemachine makes everything quite easy when you need those effects, so that's why we already installed the Cinemachine. But if you haven't, you need to do that, and let's create a new virtual camera. Once we do that, the main camera has this nice Cinemachine thing. Let's rename the virtual camera to player camera, and you know what we need to do. What we're going to do is drag it as a child of the camera holder. That's all really. That should do it. But in the body, we need to actually tell it not to do anything at all. Lens vertical FOV is going to be 60, and for the body transposer, you can simply say do nothing. And for the aim also, do nothing. Just for now. Then we need to add an impulse listener, as we will be needing it later on, because that's the only way you have those nice grenade effects. And right now we're doing recoil, but later on when we'll be doing grenade, we need to have an impulse listener to work. Right now, you can see that Cinemachine made no difference to our system anyway, and that's really good. So we have implemented Cinemachine without any problems. camera is still outside, meaning that the Cinemachine virtual camera is only in the as a child. I mean, the actual thing, the main camera, actually is outside. What the virtual cameras actually do, they override the main camera, and so that's how they're used now. You can see that I would like to have some nice jokes as well. Well, anyway, I think we should do something else. What we should do is, well, I forgot to change this to 2.05. Now let's set it to 2.05. Back into the play controller, in the input, set this to 2.05. Though I'll be changing it back to 0.1 later on, because I'll be fixing it, and then it will not matter if we have whatever value. So, now, let's get back here. We've done everything, I think, so no more head bobs. Let's see the main camera. Currently, we have the camera holder assigned correctly. Let's see. Close the head bob script. So, in the player camera, we tell the player camera to actually follow. Still we're telling it to follow, and that's not right. We should tell it not to follow anymore. Right? Because Cinemachine is going to do that itself. So we're setting the camera.main already. Let's comment these out. So we don't want to do anything with the play camera at all. Save. Well, after the errors are fixed, we save it. So what's the errors I was saying is basically you don't have a reference to this, so how are you going to shoot from the camera center? Well, that's a good question, and the only way is to actually have one which is serialized and set up using the inspector. So we will need to uncomment this, but make it a serialized field, and it's going to be actually assigned to the virtual camera, no, rather the main camera. I don't want to do that. Other instead too, yeah. So the only way to get the Cinemachine virtual camera reference is say using Cinemachine. Cinemachine will now give us the reference nicely. Cinemachine virtual camera, because that's what we created. Save, and let's go back. So we have this ready. Come in here and drag the reference. So that should do all the errors. Save. And let's see what happens if we play again. So do Command P or Control P on your keyboard. It's a shortcut to press the play button. Okay, so if I aim, move around, the shadows look pretty nice. Anyway, I can run about again, and if I shoot, let's see. Everything's working fine as previously. Okay, head bobs is still the same as it was. What if we try opening the escape? See what we've done so far. Got an interaction system, crouching, walking, running, and all that. Anyway, let's just continue on what we were actually doing. So now I think it's a good idea to keep the player camera also not as a child of the player. But before we do all that, let's just come back in here. Let's look for what we can do here. So the weapon script will need a reference to what? It needs to have a component of type public Cinemachine impulse. So now the thing is, I'm going to say Cinemachine using Cinemachine, and then I'm going to say impulse source. So I'm already doing this, even though the third part does that. Anyway, but it's okay to have a reference previously. And in the recoil, I can't shoot instead of recoil by doing Command R or Control R, and then rename it to recoil, shoot, sorry. Serialize this field, and I'm gonna make it private. This will not be anywhere else except for on this weapon. Now let's go down here, call it the impulse source. Let's actually call it, say, recoil simple generate impulse. So we're just saying generate impulse will do nothing. I think maybe it will, maybe it won't, and that's what we're gonna actually do in the next part. Let's just delete this, go down here and remove this, save again, so the next part is just about to start, and I'm just gonna have this comment, and then the next part should start. Yep, build the scripts and the next part will start. Alright, let's actually begin implementing the recoil. This was just a basic code that I wrote, and I knew we were gonna need it. So basically, I can see these variables right here. They are going to be common in all AK-47 weapons, meaning that the AK-47 SO, actually the scriptable object, should hold all of these recoil values, which is what I'll do now to begin with. First, I'm going to assign a reference, meaning I need to create a Cinemachine impulse source. It's going to be recoil, and it needs to be named as 0.0. The seconds is going to be something like 0.01345. Uniform, and default velocity is 000. Okay. Now we can drag this reference. Well, drag it in there. And let's go into the scriptable objects and let's prepare those variables. So the only way to do that is to save these values, and I will not delete from here until I've done the correct values in the SO. Let's find our scriptable objects folder, open it up, paste it in here, and they all need to be public as well, not serialized fields because they're already public. Paste in the publics, remove all of these serialized fields as it's not required anymore. Okay, then you have this recoil setting, paste it up there. Let me say header, call it recoil setting, and this guy needs to be, I think, above. Then this actually, this should be actually below. Oh, below these all, they should all be off. Add a space as well, and right here we add another one in space header. We'll call it main settings. So there's the recoil settings and the main settings. Save the SO, and we'll see that we have new fields available. Weapon settings over, not main. Okay, now that we'll have the settings, we can actually modify. So I know that first one is -6, I think. Then there's 1, and 16, 22. 1, 16, 22 it was, yeah, 22. Alright, so now in the weapon script I can delete it, and we got some errors, but that's quite easy to fix because now all we should do is write weapon data before we get the weapon recoil. Just copy this, paste it here, after dot, paste, dot, and paste before each of the recoils references which are no longer available, but they are available in the weapon data. Okay, so save the script again, and now that we're gonna got the reference actually to the general impulse, we will be able to do general impulse, but we need to define the vector 3 right here. So public vector 3 Cinemachine impulse, and this is going to be the Cinemachine impulse. My recoil impulse, yeah, And that's it. Save. And now we can come back in here. You can say Cinemachine.impulse and say weapon data.cinemachine. We call it impulse dot well, before we do that, let's create a vector 3 dollar recoil. Maybe we should call it impulse recoil and set it to the weapon data dot cinemachine impulse. And right here, instead of getting this long line, you can simply say impulse recoil dot x and say impulse recoil dot y, impulse recoil dot z. Now this will not look very procedural. It will look very same. Like it will look very similar to each, and it's going to be same recoil effect every time. To make it different, we're gonna actually do new vector 3 instead of a direct commas, as it doesn't accept that anyway. And on the, we will have to randomize the y and x axis, I think. Let's see. Alright, we'll use the random.range function, and that's how we're gonna get everything working up. So random.range, and we do a random.range from impulse recoil x to impulse recoil x, meaning the first one needs to be minus and the minimum is minus, the maximum is impulse recoil x. We're gonna add a new line, hitting enter, random.range again. This time we're going to do it on impulse recoil.y, impulse recoil.y again, and from the minus to the positive 1. Okay. Sorry about that noise, but let's get on. We've got everything done and we need to continue. So the thing we need to do is now is check the for the recoil system, the effects and everything. Let's hit the play button then. Right now we have got it childed and that's not looking great to me, so I think we should drag it out. And the only way to do that is to actually drag it out and then tell it to follow the camera holder instead. Right now it's said to do nothing. Let's see if it already follows, but do nothing usually means nothing, so let's still check it out. So what I'm going to do is simply hit the play button and see what happens. Well, yeah, so nothing happens. No movement, nothing to the camera. So if we set it to hard lock to target, you can see how it's positioning itself correctly. Alright, fine. But what about the rotation? The aim needs to be made to be same as follow target, and that will give us what we want. Alright, so that's the full system again. Copy the component, come back here, paste the component values, and let's come here, set it to the hard lock to target, same as follow target. Secondly, we also need to set damping something like 0.1 and see what happens. Well, the damping is not doing so great, so I think we should just try a very low value or a high value. Maybe we should try that out. At least it gives us a nice effect, but it's not looking overall great. So now the only way to fix this is actually to change these damping values and get them to perfection. Maybe 10. Let's see if that's what we want or not. I don't know if it becomes well, that's not what we want. That's not at all what we want. 0.01 and 0.01. Now let's see what happens. So you can see that we have got everything set up and it's looking very nice, giving us this nice jerky effect of jumping as well. animated, looking good as well. Let's see, maybe 0.2, let's see if that works well. Or it doesn't, maybe. So, if we, again, well, that's very big, that's not good. Alright, so, go back to the play camera. Set it to 0.01 again. 1.5, let's try that out. That's not good for the rotations, nor is it for the position. Is it good for the positioning? Let's see. No, there is a jitter actually. That doesn't look good. So 0.01, 0.01. I'll have to finalize on that one. 0.01, 0.01. Okay then. That is so. Now you can close this by hitting the left key. Save the project so we don't lose our unsaved changes. And let's set the layout to my own layout, which I already created myself. Hit the play button. I just noticed an issue. To just confirm. So anyway, before we fix that issue, let's just fix the recoils. So let's try out 1.0. Let's just try some Z-axis recoil, and yep. So you can see how it's spun the decal right in straight, which is not where we want to shoot. Yes, that's funny, but why is that happening? That's because the player camera's forward never changes. Its rotation doesn't change, but the camera main one always changes. So what we need to do right here is actually change the reference to the main camera's transform, meaning we need to go into the play controller, change it to a camera auto transform. You can't have it like this, you know, it won't work, because that's actually not a virtual Cinemachine camera. It's just a brain which is overridden by Cinemachine virtual cameras. So we can remove the using Cinemachine, save, and go back here. And now we can come back here now and pass in the main camera. Come on. Well, I will come down in here, put it in there. Alright, save. Now we should be able to see our decals and everything working fine. It should not cause issues, should it? It shouldn't, right? Yeah, it shouldn't. Now I can jump, and if I shoot, well, I like the jumping effect. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see what happens if I shoot. So come on, stop it. Yeah, so we have every decal spotting perfectly fine. Yes, we do. And we get reload as well. Now, if you look at the recoil somewhere, oh, what's that? That's not looking good. Looks like the time the recoil is taking is too less. Let's just search for weapon in the search bar. When we find it, we can see that there's a small issue. So I think the time should be 0.1, as the time being showed is 0.1. Well, I opened the frame debugger anyway. You don't need to open that. Let's come down here and pass in 0.1. Maybe that's not looking great, is it? Yeah, it's not looking great. 0.05. Oh. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little lesser, but let's just add some Y and X equals 0.005. Let's call it less. We don't want a lot, but it should still be there, you know. Alright, so that's pretty good. And we've done quite a lot now. What are we gonna do now is we need to copy and paste, change the value to 0.1, as it doesn't save in the play mode. Anything in the project is saved, like this weapon is, so it's saved. Yep, it is. And I'm going to ensure this 0.1. and that's actually the 0.1 in AK-47 I found out later. Previously I found that out. Alright, so we're done actually for this one part of video. Going to the next part, which is number 4. Alright, so we're gonna fix some stuff here. The first thing that I found out is that the radius is too short. It should be 0.3. Alright, 0.3. It looks better. Let's save the project. And there's a small issue which I was talking about earlier rather. When you're actually moving, the audio keeps coming even when you're not moving, as if the guy is kicking his foot in the ground. And that's not what we're doing actually. So I'm gonna simply fix that by going up here to the play foot sound method. And I'm gonna add an if the play controller dot input, as it's already public, player dot move dot read value, and we're gonna use our type of vector, and we're gonna check if it's not equal to vector 3.0, vector 2.0. If that is so, then only we will play this audio clip, otherwise we will not. So that would mean that when the input is 0, our players are trying to move, then that should fix everything. So now we can actually set this to 0.2 again. Maybe I should try out 0.1. I think 0.1 was a good value before as well. Even then, I mean, I don't want too smooth stuff. The movement should be responsive, so save, play button again, and let's see what happens now. Okay, so I'm back here in the scene, and let's move around. Yep, everything seems okay. Shoot on the ground, we have this nice sandy effect. I can jump, run, and everything else works perfectly fine. So that's going to be the end of this video. In the next one, we're going to have some realistic reload things going on. We'll be using ProBuilder to change or remove the meshes from the mag and change that.